Hey everyone, it's Jake. It's Pride Month. It's a Monday night, and I have been smoking some cigarettes. So you know what that means. Okay, you might not actually know what that means. That basically just means that I want to talk about some artwork for my old cult, Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm a former Jehovah's Witness, current Pride Month participant? Yeah, we participated. We were at a Pride parade this weekend. Christina volunteered. You may or may not have heard off mic. And if you're here, by the way, thank you so much for being here. I usually stream on Sundays, but I felt like absolute trash yesterday. But I like streaming because it means I get attention from people. So that's a real quandary for me. What am I going to do? You know, do a Monday night. I hate this. I hate this intro and the whole tone I'm taking. Um, I think that I'm actually going to have to condemn what I just did. I'm going to have to condemn
Condemnation.
That okay. This is the condemnation corner. I'm very sorry for my behavior in the intro. I kind of had a weird vibe. I'm going to correct course. In my opinion, the first 5 to 10 minutes of a stream are people kind of filtering in. Pretend this is a stage. Because the world is a stage, is it not? We're going to start over. I have to condemn that too. I'm so sorry.
Condemnation.
Yeah, I have to condemn that correction I just tried to do. And I'm noticing that we're actually losing some people live. And I understand that's going to happen when I mess up the intro like that. So a couple bits of business, channel business up top before we get into the subject at hand. I don't know why I paused like it was going to be a big reveal. And I just said at hand. Hey, well, first of all, this is some real business at hand. Hey, Jake, I subscribed under a pseudonym a while ago, and now that I'm out of Jehovah's Witnesses and out and by like you, I figured I'd come in here as the real me. Side note, the beard looks... I got one of these. I got a little chef, Mamma Mia, Papa Pia's. Chef's kiss. Well, thank you, Jordan. Good to see you. We have people here from Australia. How wonderful. A Monday in this economy? Some people are saying this is the highlight, perhaps even the climax, a Revelations climax. Oh, yes, I know. So we were going to do this yesterday, and Rudy B was going to be here, ex-called Baby, friend of the show. So they were not able to be here, but I figured I could do one of my favorite things that I do in the show, which is where I just react by myself to art for a while. So Rudy's going to be on in one of the upcoming weeks, and we're going to do other queer shenanigans on stream. And it might even be more homoerotic art. I'm certain I'm hardly going to scratch the surface here. Okay, wait. So actual channel business. First, here's what's on the agenda this evening, because I have an agenda. So I'm not ashamed to say it. Well, I'm going to try not to condemn that. That's not what the condemnation corner is really supposed to be about, but it's quickly becoming that. Listen, so the last video I made, I was very happy with it. You know, the numbers, I think that they just show that we have a lot of room to grow. But I really liked it. I made a lot of like little bumpers. I've wanted to for a long time do the thing that they do on like You Talking You Two to me and my Jehovah's Witness friends actually did when we had our Star Wars podcast when I was a witness, which is just like we had running bits, and so we would make like bumpers for like, you know, for example, like if I come across a conspiracy theory, if I start forming a conspiracy theory about something, we might have to go into the conspiracy corner.
Welcome, Internet. I'm so happy to share with you this conspiracy theory.
Yeah, and I'm just now seeing a good point, actually, from Kiara Supreme, that I really should have a gay agenda intro, which I don't. In fact, unfortunately, that's not happening. Now, that's different me just saying that's not happening is different from the segment that I do called That's Not What's Happening. So I'm not going to play that, but we might have to play a game of That's Not What's Happening later. Anyway, so we're going to, big picture, you're going to be here for the filming of hopefully what will be a real video. I've done a couple on this channel. I've done one where I react to Bible story book art, one for Revelation book art. I have one also filmed for the Spirits of the Dead brochure, but I'm kind of holding on to the edit of that until Halloween times with Not a Cult, my upcoming novel. So I'm going to film one of those. We're going to react to art. I'm going to try and be funny. I'm going to react to your chat to try and make little quips as we go through the art. And we're really going to be digging for spiritual cringe here because I haven't done much preparation at all. At my disposal, you'll see I've got a couple publications and some thoughts of terms we should look up. But yeah, so that's going to be the thing. We're going to look at homoerotic Watchtower art because there's, in my opinion, quite a bit of it. And maybe not. Maybe I'm overstating my case and we'll engage in a dialogue in the marketplace of ideas. No, hopefully that doesn't happen. Okay, and then after that, I figured, it's evening. It's an evening time stream. I could do a bedtime story. I think it's time I should read the opening chapter of Not a Cult. It's creepy. It can be a little spooky bedtime story. And I'm just, I smoked enough cigarettes to be in the mood to, my inhibitions are gone enough for me to not feel shame and for me to read something I wrote out loud. So that'll be good. I published a chapter of it on Patreon. It's free. You don't have to sign up for anything. But if you want to read a sample chapter of the book, that's on there. And I'm going to read a different chapter today. Oh my god, 2 chapters of a book? What's next? 3? Yeah, honestly, yeah. There's like a 50, 60 chapters. Okay. These are exactly the kinds of comments that we're going to be getting into. I always found the old-timey bros with the undercut haircut so attractive. Yes. Oh, is it a gay bedtime story? Okay, that's a great question. I do actually... It's quite a gay book. But I don't think we're going to be reading a gay part of it. Although, I could change that. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. The section that I released on Patreon is gay. If you want to read, a little gay something. Oh no, it's okay. This is going to exist online for posterity forever for the National Library of Congress for the next 6 months while that still exists. Okay, so that is going to happen later, and now we're going to do the thing. Oh wait, you know what? I kind of wanted to do was like, I don't know. I've just felt this urge to make this kind of like SJW rant or something. Oh, by the way, you shouldn't even need to log in to read this. I set it as a public post, so you should just be able to read it by clicking on it. Let me know if that doesn't work, because then it's like, well, wait, what's even the point of doing a public post if people still have to log in? So that might not be. All right. Alt-Worldly After Dark. Okay, so I want to go on an SJW rant because it is Pride Month. And, I've made some videos in the past about homophobia, obviously. A lot of it about, like, being directed at me. And mostly I take a joking tone to it because I don't take it that personally. But that's kind of the thing. Like, I don't really take it that personally. In Jehovah's Witnesses, we exist in a space where a lot of people are learning. We're leaving a homophobic cult. But I left the cult because it was homophobic and queerphobic and transphobic. And so that's the kind of space that I want to create here on the channel. And if you are queerphobic, that's okay. You just shut the fuck up and I don't want to hear about it. Just, you can watch the videos and you can leave your comment, but it might get fucking deleted because I left the cult, so I wouldn't have to hear that shit, And I don't have to be tolerant of your intolerance on my channel where I post my little videos. Feel free to watch. Like, if I'm the one channel you like to watch, like the one, like, kind of like a Libby guy who's Like, well, he's gay, but he's one of the good ones. Like, okay, that's fine. Feel free to watch. But I don't want to hear any fucking transphobic bullshit in my comments. I don't want it. I don't want any of it. I get so much of it, and what's so fucking annoying is like, developmentally as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we're kind of like 10 years behind. Like we're just like a little behind. I just saw that I lost like 10 people, so okay, scared them off. We had 10. We had 10 lurking, and they listened. So let's keep tally of all the transphobic and homophobic people that logged off. I wonder if there was tiers of people like, okay, well I'm homophobic, so I'm gonna log off. And then someone's like, well, I'm not homophobic, but I'm transphobic. And then they log off. Okay. No. You did not miss anything in the chat. This is completely unprompted SJW rant for no reason. Just because it's Pride Month. And I just have, like, I do try and, like, when I do videos, I try and take a stance of, like, explaining stuff. But that's not what the fucking streams are, man. Like, I'm gonna be myself, and I'm gonna talk whatever shit's on my mind. And I didn't leave a cult to try and censor myself and worry about what Jehovah's Witnesses might be offended by. Like, I get so many comments of like, this is going to turn off Jehovah's Witnesses. It's like, okay, first of all, I don't buy that, because I try and make the kinds of videos that I think would have appealed to the Jehovah's Witness version of me. And I try and make videos that are funny, because I think that funny stuff tends to like cut through cynicism in a way that like logic doesn't, because I think that we're much more emotional creatures than we are logical creatures. And that's why I can't be logical about debating you about whatever your gender critical arguments are in the chat. Like, and some of these people, they act like I don't fucking see who they are, like on their social media page. Like we're a small enough community that I can see what people are saying. And there are people that say absolutely insane, dehumanizing shit on a regular basis. And then they'll come in here and like act all sane and rational in the comments. It just drives me crazy. So like, that's just not. Just not here, guys. Just not here. If you are in the chat, I don't really have... Like, I do have some people assigned as moderators, but there's not usually enough people to really justify me, I don't know, scheduling stuff. Anyway, if you see comments that are fucked up, report them or whatever. Sometimes it'll just put it in timeout for me to approve. Anyway. See, now we can be judgmental gays. And it's like, I get it, man. No, I don't. I actually don't. If you're gonna fucking leave a cult, why are you gonna hang on to the parts of it that cause you to exclude other people from your life? Like, isn't that the whole point? Don't you want to get out of the mentality of needing to exclude certain groups of people because they're not part of your in-group? And, yeah, just, it's fine. We're all on our separate journeys. But go on your journey somewhere where I don't have to fucking hear about it. Okay. Good rant, I think. I don't know. I've already forgotten it. I'm here to talk about art. 13 minutes in. This is an art stream. So let's get into that. Alright, so I have a couple of things that I think would be fun. Oh, wait, shit. There's a super obvious one that I didn't have at the ready. Obviously, I should pull up the Jesus pictures, like the one that's pictured on the thumbnail, at least as of this streaming. I'm sure I'll change it after the fact. Warren says art, please. Okay. Holy shit. Okay, so here's just to remind everyone... I'm getting on my high horse over here, but I did just search Jesus picture because I'm stoned. I meant to type like Jesus baptism. Also, I'm still kind of getting over some like really bad allergies from yesterday, so I may have to mute my mic for just some small sneezing attacks just for fun. Where's the iconic classic picture of Jesus Cristo himself getting all drippy with it. Not drip in the modern sense. Drip in the sense that he's wet and coming out of the water. All right, that's so. Here's our guy. Here's our guy. All right. Sorry. Let me. I was ranting and really not even paying attention to chat. It's true. You do learn a lot about yourself, and that's the other reason why I just feel like maybe don't take any hard stances on hating people yet. We're all learning, right? I know. I'm hateful of hateful people. It's a huge paradox. Jen City says, so glad I found your channel. I was born into this cult and was able to get out in my teens. Wishing you happy pride. I'm so glad you were able to get out in your teens. Good for you. Ooh, amazing. Derek Maverick. Oh, during my days at Wallkill, I was overwhelmed by how gay it is. There was even a little bit of tea room lingo specific there, asking if someone worked in the laundry department. It was, are you gay? Holy shit. I'm so glad that you added that, because I added something to the book today. I realized that I needed to assign just a character in Bethel to a department, and so I assigned him to laundry, and I was not knowing that that was a thing. So now that's great. So, oh man, I've got so much tea about gay Bethel stuff, and not for the reasons you think. I saw comments about Second School Season 2. Unfortunately, listen, Ben is just way more moved on with his life than me. Here I am live streaming about my trauma. I think he's on to like second university, you know. He is. He's like also in university and stuff. So we would both love to do it, but we just don't even. We're both really busy. Okay, sorry. 16 minutes in, we're starting the segment on art. Okay, so this is not the iconic one of Jesus coming out of the water, which I'm going to now Google. But let's bask in the wetness, first of all. You know what I'm saying? Actually, this one's a little disappointing. He's not as wet in this. I've seen wetter Jesuses in my day. It almost feels like they're trying to de-gayify it a little bit. Although, look at this. You get to see a little... Uh-oh. Where are those trails leading? I'm sorry. This is weird. This now feels lascivious and creepy. So I zoomed out extra far just to make sure. I don't know. The whole imagery of a dove coming down. What a dainty animal. What a feminine creature. I think those, like, spiritual woo-woo people who get into, like, the divine feminine shit, I think there is a lot of femininity in the Jesus story, not least of which is he's born of a virgin. He doesn't actually have a male father. Okay, I have found, thanks to the power of Google and Christ, Christina said, thanks to the power of Christ. And really, it is. Because, wait, no, that's not my baptism boy. There he is. Look at this dripping wet, sexy son of a gun. Now, this is hashtag my Jesus. You see some trickles, you know. It feels, I hated saying the word trickle. I wish I could take it back, but we've had so many trips to the condemnation corner. But look at this. He's really, like, he's coming up out of the water. Now, if you're a never JW, there's almost no way that you made it this far into a stream. That's borderline incomprehensible to outsiders. But Jesus was full body baptized, head to toe, H to T, as we said. No, we didn't say that. But full body immersion. What did they say? What is it, Christina? What? Is it just full immersion? Full body immersion? Okay. It just sounds right. It sounds like I'm describing like a VR headset or something, like full body immersion at this year's convention. That's the next step in JW drama, is like, although, hey, VR headset where you can be on a Bible study with Jade? I don't know. Stay tuned, lesbians. Or heterosexual dudes. I don't know. Okay, but so it's really important that he's full body baptized. And me and Christina were remarking the other day that it's really strange that witnesses, like, they have to be fully dunked. They don't like a power of Christ compels you sprinkle. They reject your trickles. They will only accept full body wadi. I normally film these and edit out stuff like that. This will be made private eventually, this video. Okay, so what was the point of that? Oh yeah, so when like real people, unlike Jesus, get baptized as Jehovah's Witnesses, if you like you're getting dunked, but if your foot pokes out for a second, they'll be like, "Ooh, you didn't go all the way under. We have to re-baptize you." And there are people that they have to dunk like a few times because their foot pops up for a second. They don't quite go all the way down. That's so silly and superstitious, isn't it? Like, what would that mean? That one foot it might burn in Armageddon, like it might get crushed by a Armageddon rock. I don't know. I don't know. Is it the wide and spacious path, or is it the narrow road to salvation? A happy but narrow trail below the towel that he's wearing. Yeah, I find this to be a much gayer Jesus. However, he's still incredibly white, extremely inoffensively and historically inaccurately white. Okay, but I think, I don't know, I've had enough of Jesus. We get it. That's not really why any of us come to these streams. Oh, your sister got double dunked? Yeah, is that not absurd? Like, just, it's the gesture, is it not? Like, who's really gonna be? Is Jehovah dissatisfied? Like, the baptism was bullshit. Yeah, very Achilles heel type of thing. Yeah, I think it's technically legal. Like, you can do it. I've probably told this channel on a stream before, but my mom, she's like, I packed your swim stuff and put my swim trunks in a bag. And so I assumed that she also included a white t-shirt, and she didn't. And so during the end of the baptism, like after we said our questions, I look at my little bag and I'm like, oh my God, I don't have a shirt in here. I'm going to be the only shirtless person in the entire convention. And I had like a scar on my stomach from surgery. So I was like, oh my God. And so I was like looking at my mom in the audience like, somebody found a shirt for me. That's not important. Other than, are not all of our bodies works of art, folks? Sound off in the comments. No, that's okay. You don't have to sound off on that one. All right, so my book of Bible stories. Let's get fucking real here for a second. The issue, this is the scan from jw.org. And the problem with it is it's shit, actually. Like, it's so digitized. Look how pixelated it is. But if you've ever seen this edition of the book, it just looks like shit. It's a shitty, poorly printed paperback edition. And unfortunately, it's the main one they've got on here. And I tried to find the 1978 version, but I couldn't find it. And even then, when I had it for my Bible Storybook video, it wasn't notably better. Okay, so let's get to some pictures where we're looking at a lot of people. And I do have to just make sure that we're not looking at stuff that I looked at last time. Okay, I think we can keep on moving from this picture. All right, we've got some fellas here. Holy, what's going on? Oh, okay. Was I the only one who is deeply confused by what's happening with this region? If I zoom in more, it's going to distort it to the point where you can't even tell what the hell's happening. Oh, look at that. It won't even let me scroll around. Awful. I thought that his arm was a part of this scroll stick. Whatever. I'm sure there's a proper word for that. The scroll stick. The stick that holds the thing together. Ooh, okay, so they do on, but just the PDF version on the website. They don't have the full pictures, and it's BS. I had to give a PSA on my last Bible story book art review because that was concerning to me as well. No, this is actually not particularly gay. I mean, I don't know. We can't claim everything. Stargazing. Although when you just, the word gaze, it is kind of right there. But this was so mesmerizing. But as a kid, this picture was not in color, right? It was in black and white. So kids these days get their color pictures and it's total bullshit. This is kind of weird to say, but I always thought that Abraham was cute, even though I can't see his face. We can't see his face. I promise we're going to get to some ladies soon. But look at his... You may not like it, ladies, but this is what peak performance looks like. This is what I want my body to look like. You're right. Context says that he is also writing poetry to just, like, God, which is just his feelings. He writes his own songs. Abraham and Isaac. Oh, shit. I totally got them mixed up. Isaac's the kid? Isaac's this little motherfucker? Let's see. Yeah. Sorry, Abraham. Although, I like older people. Listen, I like people of all stars and stripes, and boy, does this guy have stripes. See how I dodged that? That was amazing. Now, here we have some cuties. I think this guy is looking a little derpy for my taste. Although he does have, we like to talk about on the art segments, the Twizzler lips. In fact, I may have remarked upon this gentleman's lips in my first video, but my, are they prominent. I always thought the lips looked like Twizzlers. Hey, speaking of mods, it's my little Peebo. The soon-to-be threesome. Yes, legitimately, right? Holy shit, this is Lot and his daughters, is it not? Yeah, they end up doing some light incest. Am I wrong about that? Don't they get their dad drunk and do some things that break YouTube's terms of service, you might say? Listen, all I'm saying is that a lot of my witness crushes looked like these two ladies right here. Unfortunately, you're not going to see a lot of my crushes, because I'm just realizing there's only white people in this book. There's no... I can't show you, like, any equivalents of other crushes other than the white girls I liked. Well, lucky for you, audience, I had crushes on just about everyone. Alright, so now we've got these handsome young guys. And this fellow here with his shiny hair, this guy looks legit like my brother-in-law. I'm going to show this to Christina later and see if she agrees. But I thought this guy was super handsome with his clean-cut look. And then you've got this gentleman, this Rupert Grint son of a bitch, who would be handsome if not for his, like, kind of, I don't know, Robin Hood-esque hair. Like, in kind of a shitty Robin Hood movie. Yes! Oh my god, we have to look at the bejeweled chest plate. I did talk about it once in terms of it reminding me of Darth Vader's chest plate. Can you imagine, just to, you know, and we got to talk about it, fellas. We are talking about an outside tent before the invention of soap. Well, okay, I'm sure they had soap. Before the invention of deodorant, they weren't bathing daily. They were a nomadic tribe. And none of them are wearing underwear. They all just, it's like a chimney chute right to their crotch. This is a stinky tent, is what I'm trying to say. This is a salt and vinegar kind of tent, I think. I think the smells would be really, really not awesome in the old-timey pre-deodorant dude tent. Now, we have to be careful with this particular Bible story. We must remember that we are not so much talking about the content of the story, because this one ends in a not super fun territory, But certainly all of these ladies are adorable. And now this guy is still a person that you have to avoid if you see this person at the bar, and he will look like this. He will have this much of a V-neck. He will have that sort of a mustache, in addition to so many other things going on, and that creepy look. This is a person you avoid. They really did depict the creep very well. This is actually a horrible story. We probably shouldn't dwell on for too much, but I mean, they all look like 1960s Art Deco furniture models. They look like they could be posing next to Campbell's Soup, or talcum powder, or a camera. What was invented in the 1960s? That's probably true. I guess it's probably like on Survivor, people say that like you don't really notice the smell after a while, but Jeff Probst notices. That story is dynamite. God damn it. Right?
Your mom was probably invented in the 1960s.
Christina just yelled out sleepily, "Your mom was probably invented in the 1960s." To me, about my mom. This is how she talks to me. Cigarette models. What are they smoking? Cigarettes. Yeah, these are supposed to be like the slutty girls, and they're so modest. Show me some boobage. Watchtower. Yeah, I know it's for kids, but you're gonna show people's like flesh falling off because of the lesions on their skin during a plague. You can show some boob. I don't know. I don't know if there's lots here. Let's. I make this mistake all the time of staying in the first like third of a book. Holy shit! This picture I have absolutely, perhaps negative sexual feelings towards, but what a mood. Was this black and white? Okay, just purely to step out of the gay zone. Although I mean, I understand. I understand that we're in the gay zone to some degree. Just for now. We'll get to his attire. But his face is so much more realistic than anybody else's face. Like, he looks like Sir Alec Guinness, a photograph, 4K. And he looks like the poster of Jake Lloyd on The Phantom Menace. They do this sometimes where some people are hyper-realistic, but then you look at the guy to the left of Chef Alec Guinness. Yes, chef, says, I don't know, Joseph or some asshole. I guess we should figure this out. What? This is somehow... Whoa, wait a minute. Holy shit, how did we almost skip past a genuinely sexual story, which is Samson and Delilah. He's going, hey there, Delilah, and he is wearing a plain white tee. However, he has so many white dreads. What a choice. I gotta say, I'm crushing on Delilah. I think it's the curls and the little head thing she's wearing. Everything is working for me. I like a flowy outfit. Does that tell you? Oh, you know what else I was gonna do? I was gonna tell people to give me money. But I didn't have to, because that one guy did it. G'day, Jake. Oh, shit. Do I know how to do Australian? Oh, I need like a sort of like a phrase to get into it. I don't think I can. G'day, Jake. Is there any preferred way for people to contact you via email, etc.? Keep up the good work. I'm in a dusty town of 900 in the outback, Australia, and your videos helped me when I had nothing else. I said that in a cartoon Australian voice, and it was such a nice, heartfelt message that contained money. I'm so sorry. I'm going to read that again, sincerely. I'm in a dusty town of 900 in outback Australia, and your videos helped me when I had nothing else. That is so sweet. Thank you so much. That's really, really kind. I hope that I'm doing you proud by thirsting after paintings of Bible characters in a book ostensibly made for children, and yet, if that's the case, then why did my sexual awakening happen due to my book of Bible stories? Checkmate, atheists. Like, what do we think's in that? Bible time sex juices, stimulants and tonics, and vigors? Is that what they're called? I was trying to think of in Bioshock what the hell they're called. Okay. This is nuts. It looks like an artist's smock. Like, what material is this? Carpet? Drape material? What is this supposed to be? It kind of looks like when you get a bunch of silly putty of different colors and, like, roll them up in a worm and then make a rainbow. That's kind of what this looks like, all squiggled and squished out together. But he's got these gems, and I don't know. He may not officially be a chef, but he's kind of cooking. And as I understand it, the AI had nothing to do with this, and yet, explain what's happening with his hands, because I don't know. I guess it's right. It just feels... Okay, I think this is the issue, is compositionally, it really looks like in SpongeBob, where the realistic human hand just comes in from off-screen. Like, that's what this looks like. It looks like a completely unrelated hand is coming in with this broom. So that's, I think, what's taken me out of this particular situation. I thirsted after David in the past, and I have to say, I'm over him. Except for... He's got, I guess I'll say it. He's a butterface. A butt-him face. Butt his face. Everything's great, but his face. That didn't even make sense. This is the weirdest cult ever. Oh, yes! He does have a flowering staff. The bloom of his youth. Yeah, that's... Boy, we might have skipped past it. Okay. I've talked about forearms in the past. I'm a forearm aficionado. And I like these kind of sun-bleached hairs on him. He looks handsome. I'll say it. I like this action pose for Saul. Isn't it so confusing that there's a Saul that has nothing to do with Saul in the New Testament? That's too confusing. Like, if there was an Anakin in the sequel trilogy that just had nothing to do with Anakin... Oh, wait, they did that in Old Canon. They legitimately did. Han and Leia named their kid Anakin. Isn't that kind of like trying to reclaim the name Adolf? I don't know. I never liked that decision. Now, we're talking about thirsts. And I have to say, we're among friends here. Right? This is a private gathering. We all turned in our phones when we came in, right? This pairing right here, I think it says a lot about where I'm at today. This couple right here. I'm into all of this, especially his pajamas. I just want to give him a hug, really. I want him to read me a bedtime story. And then you've got scary 90s fortune teller, Jezebel. She's got, like, objectively, her boobs exist because we see the shape. But they're very careful in their shading, not to accentuate them in any way. Why? I know. Okay, did we not all know somebody who dressed like this? Like, there was always somebody in the congregation that had the fake nails and big hair and big blue eyeshadow. The blue eyeshadow, unless you're like Billie Eilish, like, or at a Pride Parade. Blue eyeshadow is hard to just pull off. But I don't know. I mean, she was like in her house, just sitting in her own window. She didn't know that she was going to be defenestrated. A fun word. Jez. And we can say whatever the hell we want. Okay. What were we saying? There was a comment I missed. Ooh, it's bedtime in the UK. All right. We'll see the rest of the Brits tomorrow in the replay crew. I don't know why that was worthy of such a dramatic pause. Ooh, holy shit. Story time. I've got a good story. I don't know if Christina's heard this, actually. She probably has. All right, so as kids, me, my sister, my cousins would put on sort of like all that parodies of Bible stories. Like, we would do dramas. This originated because we were really annoying my parents. We were on a vacation visiting my aunt, and they told us, okay, get the fuck out of here. Go, why don't you do a drama, like a Bible drama? Put on a play based on my book of Bible. They gave us like spiritual homework, and we're like, okay. So I was the writer of the play. Yes, yes, I know. And so we all like picked like who would play what part. I was the narrator, and like my sister was Jezebel. My boy cousin was whatever. What's her guy's name? Her fella, Jehu. Jehu. That can't be right. Is it Naboth? Who's her thick king of a husband? Well, let's read the Bible story. This is, what I based my script on as a middle schooler. King Ahab is the worst king of all. Do you know why? One big reason is his wife, wicked Queen Jezebel. Wait, one of the reasons why King Ahab is the worst king is that his wife, who isn't the king, just sucks? Jezebel is not an Israelite woman. She is the daughter of the king of Sidon. What? From Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? She worships the false god Baal. Beowulf. And she gets Ahab and many Israelites to worship Baal too. Jezebel hates... I feel like I sound like a kindergartner who's having trouble reading the Bible story book. Jezebel hates Jehovah and kills many of his prophets. Others have to hide in caves so that they won't be killed. If Jezebel wants something, she will even kill a person to get it. She sounds like a problematic fave. One day, King Ahab is very sad. What? I just realized the kind of confusing... This is written in the present tense. That's kind of odd. After King Jeroboam dies, each king is bad. That's kind of odd. I wouldn't... if I was writing a kid's book, I wouldn't write it like that, probably. So King Ahab is her husband. So I guess we don't know that this is King Ahab. This might just be one of these motherfuckers pushing her out the window. To the dogs, who I'm now realizing we do see pictured down here. They're very tiny. We can see the puppers ready to gobble up some fresh Jezebel meat, fresh from the window. So in our version of the play, my aunt had like, bye, X called baby, Rudy. We will see you on this show soon. Okay, so in our version, my aunt had this like, what do they call those windows? It's like a high windowsill. It's long and wide. You can sit in it. You can sit in the window. One of those things. And so we had that be the roof, and we put like a pile of stuffed animals on the floor, or of like stuffed dog animals for my sister to jump into. And I just remember that we had a joke at one point because we wanted her to call somebody as a joke. And so my sister, we wrote the joke like, bay window, thank you. Holy shit, I was losing my mind. Bay windows. Not to be confused with Baal, the false god that Jezebel loved so much she was willing to die over it. If only she would just shut up and worship Jehovah instead. She was so violent, she just had to be murdered. So the joke that we wrote was like, well, cell phones didn't exist, so we thought we were very clever. my sister takes a seashell, looks at the audience, goes, "Shell phone," and then calls whoever, I don't know. And we thought that was funny. And so my early career in theater production, you could argue, was a sign that I was destined for gayer things. So many chef's hats don't do it for me at all. Weird. These people look weird. Ooh, okay. Well, we have a modern-ish family. This kind of is every white JW couple. They look a little derpy, a little distant, light missing behind the eyes. This woman kind of looks like that old right-wing influencer, Just Pearly Things. That's who came to mind for me. I feel like there's a meme to be made here about like doing homework or something. Sound off in the comments if you figure it out. All right. Am I missing any obvious thirst traps in the My Book of Beeble Stories? Oh, I do think that she's cute. And then this kid is so tiny. He's so much smaller, but not because he's a kid. Like, he looks like he's not to scale. I would argue the scale in this is not awesome. Oh, hey, the three boys. They gave them such white hair. They kind of tried to give the one of Daniel's friends some curls, but barely. Man, they really whitewashed these stories. I just feel like I'm missing a crush of some kind. Forearm alert. Ooh. Maybe you meant something that I skipped past, but actually, we do have some notable forearm action. Oh yeah, okay, so this is Mary, right? I mean, on one hand, yes, she is portrayed as a conventionally attractive woman. On the other hand, is she giving Michael Jackson a little bit? Maybe. I don't know. Sound off in chat. I don't know. Was Mary really the one? Look at this guy. Very expressive. Another chef with terrifying realistic features. Ooh, holy shit, the gayest Jesus of all. We found him. I'm so glad that we started with Jesus. Oh my god, he's... Well, if you like diapers, gigantic diapers, I've got a book for you. It's called My Book of Bible Stories. You go yourself to page 88, just like the old peony, and you see water highlighting his emaciated ribs. This one, there's something about it that is homoerotic, but in a way that's like a little personal for them. You know, these feel like a real couple. I don't necessarily need to be watching what they're getting into. Oh my god, you're so right about that. That is that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but I guess as a kid, the Old Testament is so much more fun to read, and now as an adult, I find it so boring. Like, I find the New Testament very, I don't know, there's like a lot to it. I like the lore and the world building. There's not a lot of continuity. I mean, it gets confusing. There's a lot of big time jumps in the Old Testament. Well, this is Jesus getting mad. But not as mad as this guy, you have to admit. This is the maddest person in the entire book. He was just trying to buy sliced bread? What is that? What's in his basket? And also, what is this basket? What is it doing? What is its purpose? I don't love his thumb. I don't love his little worm thumb. But I like everything else about it. The woman in the well. I don't know. You know, I remember as a little kid having a wholesome kid crush on the girl who was resurrected by Jesus. I was like, she's cute. Weird. My first crush was a dead girl. Sounds like a YA horror novel. Free title. Go out there and make it happen. Alright, well, let's get... We really are in the boring parts of the book. Oh, Mary Magdalene. So upset. I was only napping. Could the artist not know what healthy people look like? They don't even know what actual just people look like. Well, they're not all great kid stories, but they have a fairy tale logic to them. It's much more exciting. Well, this picture I referenced in a recent video, I was truly obsessed with this. And when I showed Christina the video, and she saw that, she was like, "Oh my god, the flames on the head picture." We love this picture for some reason. It does feel like everybody's edible kicked in at the exact same time or something, and they're, you know, where are they going? What's behind these curtains or behind that door? I don't know. But they all look pretty happy and fired up. Flames of passion a-brewing. Let's get a full hour in the Bible story book. There's surely a little bit more. Now look at this fella. Hang on. If we're digging for spiritual gems, a couple cuties in here. Ignore Uggo up here. Look at these fine young gentlemen. Again, exclusively white people in this book. It's really standing out to me. I don't know why the ironic thirst stream is where this is really hitting me. No pun intended, Stephen. I know it's cliche to say, like, representation matters, but God, like, for a kid, when you're talking about the entire history of civilization, like, going back to the very first humans ever created, and never seeing yourself represented, like, that would feel really shitty. I mean, they obviously do show more, like, diversity in other books, but in terms of the way they portray Bible history, the most important stories ever, it's always white people, which is probably bad. Hey, I'm white, so I turned out fine. Just look at me, streaming about a kid's book on a Monday night. I mean, that's literally just me right now. That's why I get stoned, is because I'm too pretty. I was going to say, I was like, they do have the ginger. I just like this pose. As a drawing, I really enjoy this. Or as a composition, I guess I should say. This is my kind of couple right here. I don't know. Damn. What is this? I don't remember shipwreck stories that were exciting in the Bible storybook. Shipwrecked on an island. This story must be so fucking boring because I was so into Treasure Island as a kid in any pirate story. Look, the boat is in trouble. It is breaking to pieces. I see the issue. Treasure Island is exciting, and this is bullshit. Saying like, hey, look, there's a fucking thing happening. It's like, yeah, no kidding, it's in trouble. It already crashed. You skip past the exciting part, idiot. Well, I don't know. Is that really attractive? I don't think that's what real bodies look like. I don't think that's what real people looked like. This kind of like glowed up, filtered look. Everyone trying to look all beefy at the gym. I have no memory of this picture. Absolutely no memory of this. And I know I... Oh, wow. You know what's interesting? Okay, look at the composition down here, right? With these mountains and the thunder and everything. We're on page 252. Okay, so does this not... This little area here... Right at the bottom. Doesn't this kind of look like the very first story in the Bible storybook? Where the world is like a formless void? From that to this. There's even lightning. What does that mean? I don't know. It's your job to figure it out. That's what I pay you for. I don't know. People just say that in movies. This is crazy. I would have absolutely used this sooner in a video if I remembered it, because I love all of the pictures of every angel portrayed as a white man storming the castle, storming the Capitol with Jesus. And dear God, in literal fucking heaven, look at these horse heads. I'm not trying to get, you know, I know we're on a live stream talking about horses and some people have gotten in trouble for that kind of thing, but this is genuinely fucked up what's happening. Look at the perspective on this. Look at this guy. Look at him. This is no horse. This man is standing behind a cardboard cutout tricking us. This was made in a lab using stem cell research. Very few of these are actual horses. This guy, I mean, what is happening over here? Look at these. Look at this. Like, what? Where does this horse's front hooves, what's happening? Isn't that illustration on the back inside cover? Oh. Well, you may be right, but chronologically in the book, that sounds right. This picture being the inside cover sounds right, but there's so many more actual pages of book. This has absolutely no relation stylistically to anything else. This looks like the Polar Express or something. Okay. Obviously the book, not the scary movie. Okay, well, I had another thought, though, in terms of art to look at, and it was to look at a bound volume, because this is a very prominent space of art that I don't get into a lot, and I haven't talked about yet in this series, and that's the art of the magazines. And I like being nostalgic for these like art analysis things, because it reminds me of being a Witness kid and looking and staring at these pictures either in the back of the car, out in the field ministry, or just during meetings when I'm bored. I really liked that. Those memories of just staring at this art and kind of creating little pictures. So I figured, okay, I'm going to pull up the bound volume of the Awake from my birth year. So this is the 1992 Awake bound volume. So I literally haven't looked at this. I just pulled this up about 1 second before we started streaming. I had this idea. And yeah. So we'll see. This might be a dud. Remember that I'll eventually edit this segment into a video just for fun, just because I like making them. For some reason, I like the way they end up feeling. Money worries, will they ever end? So, if you're a Never JW, they technically still print The Watchtower and Awake. It's totally different. They used to print 2 editions of each magazine a month. Like, this is the January 8th. And there would have been like a January, 16th. Or no, I guess it would have been like the 22nd, which is my birthday. Something like that. So they would do 2 Awakes a month and 2 Watchtowers a month. And now it's like sporadic. They do like number 1, 2020, number 2, 2020. And they don't publish consistently each year. And this was their stated goal, was to just build a library of evergreen promotional material. And I think that's why the art in the newer publications aren't as interesting now, because they are just considered neutral and uncontroversial to our modern sensibilities of what propaganda art is. Like I don't think you would have been able to pick a magazine like this out of a lineup in 1992, but now we look back and we're like, this is so bizarre. You would never see a magazine like this on the stand, like in the grocery store. First of all, when are you ever seeing magazines in general anyway? And so I think the more recent stuff isn't as interesting to look at because we don't have as much perspective on it. We're not able to look at it in terms of like, oh yeah, this reminds me of this kind of art. At least I don't. Like, the modern magazines, the only thing that I can really compare it to is I have to do, what would you call them? Like, training modules for work. You have to do things for, like, HR, like employee, continuing education things. DEI programs. No, it's just, like, bullshit you have to click through. And a lot of that does give me a similar vibe of modern Watchtower publications, where it's sort of, like, generic, flat, shiny IKEA people. That's not actually a kind of person, but I feel I know what I mean. Oh, right. There's some kind of question as to what's the delay in publication to the newest one? The newest edition of one of these magazines? What's going on with it? Am I right? Sound off about what's going on. Okay. Well, see, what's fun about this is, look, there's a real couple. We can start analyzing real people. All right, what do we say? Are they gay? No, probably not. Although, just for fun, let's read this, because one of the things that I would love to make a video about at some point is something that I have had to, I've changed my opinion on. When I first left, I totally felt like, oh my god, I can't believe how dumbed down the publications are now compared to how it used to be. But then, when I started pulling older clips for first the website and the videos, I realized they're actually not, well written. They're definitely using more words, but I can't say that it's good. So, we're going off topic, but I have gay DHD. Oh, I'm sure that someone else has made that joke before, but just in one of a billion chance that it hasn't. It's trademark. June 17th, 2024, 8:03 p.m. EST. Gay DHD. It sounded like trucker code. In the grip of money worries. Right off the bat, this is not a great title. In the grip of worries. Though mothers and fathers give us life, it is money alone which preserves it. The Japanese Family Storehouse, or The Millionaire's Gospel by Ihara Saikaku. So what? Are they, condemning the Japanese people for being materialistic? If that sounds like I'm projecting racism onto them, it's only because they really love racial stereotypes. Have you ever needed money badly? Or have you found that you did not have enough cash to pay for something essential? Or have you ever seen your family go hungry or poorly clothed? Have you ever seen your family go poorly clothed? Oh, my poor bambino. He is poorly clothed. Millions of people today can answer yes to those questions. They know what it is to worry about money. I'm sorry, these magazines did not used to be smarter. I like that it's worries. At the root of worries. Oh, wow. Really getting into the minutia of the the actual how money is made, like paper versus salt and metals and coins. They wouldn't do that. They would just put a meaningless PragerU looking bar graph. That's what the stuff looks like. That's what the publications look like. And their little stuff for kids, it looks like PragerU stuff. Ooh. Let's put a pin in that in terms of content. Oh, yes. There's supposed to be a cover from August 2024 that was on Reddit, and it was depicting a witness looking back at a woman on a bench. Oh, yeah. Was there an angel in it or something? Maybe. I never have. I have felt. Well, first of all, you know who did it actually was X Cult Baby, I believe. I remember when I was waking up watching their videos, kind of dunking on that stuff. But I suppose that's been a few years now. I've waited the requisite time after somebody else covered a thing. So that could be good. Sometimes I have mixed feelings about just straight up reading like a homophobic or racist stuff on the channel because there's no shortage of just nasty misogynistic or racist statements that the organization's made, but it's kind of like if you're a witness it's really easy to dismiss that stuff as that was back in the day. First of all, I just don't like to I don't like to read it. It's not my favorite thing, so I haven't, but it might be worth doing. Oh my god. An inordinate desire for money has caused people to pervert justice. My name's Pervert. Pervert justice. To betray friends, to falsify truth and commit murder. Like, what a nothing statement. Wow. Did you know that greed has caused some to kill other people? Yeah, I did know that. I didn't need a fucking magazine to tell me that. This isn't gay at all. But both of these people are. Wait, what the fuck is happening? No. I have to scroll past this because there's like scary medical stuff happening. We can't even have fun. Now we're looking at some fucking trees and shit. Uh-oh. Okay. Now we gotta be careful. But we did just talk about Young People Ask, and we are in a Young People Ask article. This seems like it's probably not as much fun. What if my parents don't support me in my faith? Oh yeah, that's just like a recipe for me getting triggered. Mature members of the congregation can help you out by taking an interest in you. Ooh, I'm going to take a screenshot of this right now because that is proof right there with a picture. I don't know if you could... Did it show on the previous screen? I took a screenshot. I did. I did it on my desktop. Because one of the arguments that Watchtower makes in court a lot is that, we don't separate children from their parents. We would never even encourage such a thing. But it's like, yeah, you do. You encourage that all the time. And this is an article that's still on their website. I'm just looking at the PDF copy of it. And yeah, it encourages it. Just go be alone with this fucking guy from the congregation. He's older than you, so he's mature. Oh, good. They're trying to crawl back their racist comments earlier. An awake correspondent in Japan. I'm standing here outside the Washi Japan Ancient Handmade Paper. Like, what? A correspondent. It's just somebody at a remote translation facility. I am kind of mesmerized by whatever the fuck's happening here, though. This is kind of gay. We're just seeing, like, dresses and fabric-y handmade stuff. And this is rainbow colored. Arguably proved Sodom and Gomorrah was not destroyed because of butt sex. That's just a great sentence. 16th century weddings had to have been absolutely filthy. And I do mean that sexually. I mean, what the average lifespan was like 31. So you just had to get out there, get your 3 2x4s held together with a couple of sticks, filled with pies, get 2 of your buddies, drag it out, and just have a big orgy with all your friends. That's what's happening there. This picture, by the way, just as an addendum, was used with kind permission of the Museum. I like how it says with kind permission. Now they don't even acknowledge. They're just like, Adobe photo stock, whatever. Uh-oh. Hemingway and the fascist salute. What the fuck? What? There's an article about Ernest Hemingway's ties to fascism in the Awake? That's weird. That was just on somebody's mind at Bethel, I guess. Oh wow, this is about 1914 when dreams of peace were shattered. What a great name for an article. Ooh, the moral breakdown. Can it be reversed? This seems like almost a good time for me to have a little moral breakdown myself and smoke some more cigarettes. What if my family is poor? Become a Jehovah's Witness. It'll fix everything. Wait, somebody was saying that September is good. So we're using AI yet for the art. You know, I feel like we were speculating about that on a recent stream. For their purposes, I mean, it's not like it costs that much money for them to house a Bethelite, really. But they are paying for their meal. Like, if things get rough, they absolutely could. But it's also kind of like the people work for free. They make free art. They're already there. I mean, I don't know. Okay, cover of the September one. Birder. Oh my god, September 11th, 1991. Guys, I uncovered a conspiracy. 9/11 was foreshadowed in the Awake magazine. And we know it because they're Freemasons. This is all a joke, by the way. Oh my god, so much just shit about... Take me to the September issue, god damn it. I'm sure there's a more effective way to do this, but I'm enjoying this little tour that we're taking of the magazine. Okay, so this is one thing that they don't necessarily do as much now. I feel like they don't milk the starving people in Africa stuff quite as much, at least in terms of pictures. They definitely like to highlight all the stuff going on in Africa, but I feel like just every time they would even talk about it, they would just show people starving, and I don't know, they must have gotten some feedback on that. Then again, I'm not keeping the closest eye on it.
Have you ever watched a space shuttle launch on TV? Do you wonder just how big those rockets are? And how much room do the astronauts have in the space shuttle itself? I had an opportunity to see for myself when I visited Spaceport, USA at Cape Canaveral, also known as the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, USA.
This is just a fucking middle school report. This is just like a little essay you would have to write in school. This is somebody writing that they went to a museum, having watched all kinds of space liftoffs on TV and thrilled at the first Apollo flight to the moon in 1969. It was quite an experience to find myself at the very heart of this activity, just an hour's drive east of Orlando. This is kind of unbelievable. And they still, to this day, will insist that people started reading the magazines because they were so well written. Like, well, the magazines, they're just so good. I started reading them just because they're so well written. And it's like, I'm sorry. If you have a son or a daughter in 1992 who's in elementary school, you can read The Awake without leaving home. Just read whatever they're assigned to do for English class, and you can read a travel log by a Awake staff writer. God, they got like a couple articles out of this shit. They're just filling space. I think that's what people forget, is like, this was such a profitable business model for them for a long time. Like, they're not writing this shit out of passion, obviously. It's like the most lifeless bullshit ever. The reason why they're doing it is because they have a model of printing a certain amount of magazines every month, and those ship a certain amount of copies. And despite the fact that they basically stopped accepting money for them at a certain point, it still was bringing in enough new people that, like, the cost was worth it. And yeah, you know why? Because, like, to be a writer in Time magazine, the qualification was that you were a good writer and probably that you had like a degree, like you had an English degree in a degree in journalism or something. And to be a staff writer at the Awake, you just have to be the best typer who works at Bethel already. Like that's the only qualification. Wait, what did you email to me? Oh, okay. I'll check. This is so funny. What I think about when I see these, I'm like doubting myself and seeing if I have references before. Ooh, okay. Thank you to XJW commenter here who emailed me the thing that people are saying, but it says that I can't access it. We couldn't find that one. The file may have been deleted, moved, or made unavailable. It says to try reaching out to the file owners, so my friends, it didn't work none when I clicked on it. What they're trying to send me is this potentially leaked cover of an Awake that hasn't come out yet, or I guess a Watchtower. Okay, anyway, that was really not that important. The Awake articles were always dumb. Okay, so September 22nd, you said. All right. And this is... me. It's my birth... Wait, no. I was born in January. I got confused for a second. I was born January 22nd. I got all excited when I saw the 22. Sorry, everyone. Okay. God damn it. Get out of here. This is unfortunate to be memorialized in this way. I mean, I know witnesses respect the memorial. Oh, boy. I mean, if you dressed your children like this, like these two kids now, if you sent... Oh, absolutely. No, I absolutely... Like, that was... if you wanted to be a writer, that was your only possible goal, was to write for the magazines. I used to think the same thing, like writing for the teaching department. I would think that, but that's actually cool. Like being like an intrepid reporter, going abroad, like don't be ashamed at that. That's genuinely cool. You wanted to be a traveling reporter, and like Watchtower would be like, oh, Jenny's on assignment at the at the museum in Cape Canaveral, writing a little book report about the things that they have on display in the museum. This, I guess, was before the internet, so if you wanted to know what was in a museum, you had to read an article about someone who had been there. Okay, so this is a very gay cover because they're holding a rainbow, but also, if you dressed your little boy in a bright yellow shirt and overalls, and your daughter wearing this, I think you would be... Also, just if your hair looked like this, they would think things about you. I'm not going to say what they would think. Oh, wait, I will, because it's the gay stream. I think they would sense a little bit of fruit. Oh, hey, look. Mommy and daddies. Literal mamas and papas on the screen. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Was this worth it? Whoa. Jehovah's Witnesses delivered up to local courts. Oh my God. No, we can't. We can't get into this because look what it's about. An appeal was taken up to the Ohio State Supreme Court. Yes. It's about now I forget what it's called. My brain is riddled with substances. And I keep just wanting to say Brown versus Board of Education. I know it's not that. Does God answer my prayers? You should read the book Not a Cult, coming this sometime, probably. Colette at 17 and at 2 when she was still able to see. Okay. Well, I just find this surprising. Oh, I see. It's like a profile on this person. I thought we were still in the Young People Ask article, and I was like, wow, not only did they not do the names have been changed thing, but they're like, and also, here's a baby picture, and here's their social security number. Here's a composition of what we think they'll look like in 10 years. Why all the tears? Now this is a cool bit of like commercial art layout. This layout is neat. The little tier streaming down. Also, this is why I use this font for the channel. No, not really. I never realized that until now. But it's the same font. Maybe that's why I was drawn to it. Malin font.
Christina just reminded me of Malenfant, and maybe while we're in the gay corner, we can talk about sexually active students. Maybe this could be a TikTok or some bullshit. Now, there's also the possibility that I could do Kenneth Flodine, because he's sort of similar right there in the same range.
You sound like Kimi.
Kimi. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's seen the show Lost, but I make good eggs, Ben. That didn't even sound good. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get back to Malenfant. My mouth was bigger than my stomach, but with voices. Writer, not a speaker out louder.
Concerned over the rise of sexually transmitted diseases and the risk of AIDS for young people, the CDC, U.S. Centers for Disease Control, made its first survey of the health habits of high school students in grades 9 through 12, ages 14 to 18, in all 50 states, as well as Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands.
You know how they like to say it, properly. Like a newscaster.
The results published this year show that 54% say they are no longer virgins. We're particularly concerned about the increase at each grade level, said Dr. Lloyd Colby.
Lloyd! Oh, he snuck in to do a study on virgins. Director of the Division of Adolescent and School Health at the CDC. According to the survey, 40% of the students in 9th grade had sex. Okay, well, that's the kind of thing that's just totally fine for people of all ages to be reading about. Puerto Rico. Oh, no, I can't even do it. I would have to, talk for 5 sentences to get into it. Good lord. Ooh, a question from readers. Okay, before we get into the next batch of bullshit. Actually, no, I think we need to find, one or two more good ones. Good gays. Oh, ho, 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 ho. You know, you pray and God opens a door, even if he closes a dress. That's a joke from some show. I think it might be Mad Men. God opens one door, he opens a dress. I don't know. Sorry. You can overcome negative emotions. I mean, this lady was so mad that a whole smog machine came out to tell everyone how sad she was, and now she clearly has the bright, shining eyes of somebody who's not in a cult, and the bangs of somebody who's not just in 1992. You know, she can't help it. She can't help that that's the year it is, and that's what people thought was okay to do with your hair. I think his negative emotions are about this little butt crack of a hairdo that he has. This sort of anal crevice that is his hair. Whoa, this is the first African-American person that we've seen in the entire time we've been streaming, looking at all of these magazines. And he's handsome. Oh, wow, a real 0 to 60. Or 60 to 0, I guess I should say. Should say. Fuck. Hey, look at this.
Look at this little number. Look at this broad.
Okay, this is from 1992. Holy shit. Okay, I'm just going to take a screenshot of this because it's kind of dystopian. It feels like Stepford Wives. Janice controls her emotions by doing things for others, dwelling on pleasant memories, and looking forward to future events. Isn't Janice the AI from The Good Place? Oh my god. Yeah, this is kind of terrifying. But, okay. Jenny, does this look like a person that we know in real life? Just blink once for yes, twice for no. This is reminding me of somebody. Okay. Not in, a bad way at all. It's just I don't want to, I don't know, say they look like somebody from a magazine on stream. without their prior consent. I don't want people comparing me to Watchtower people. A letter to mom and dad. Oh, god damn it. These are, you know, we've talked about little bits of pride shining through. Oh, the cover of the girl with the bangs. Yeah. I see. This is like an oppressively heterosexual picture. Just knit fake sweaters that couldn't possibly reveal anything all the way up to your neck. This, whatever is happening. Does he have a little pencil in his hand? What's this little green dot? Maybe it's just an artifact on the copy. This just is... I don't know. This is how happy you are. Answer to a prayer. See how happy prayer makes you? If you serve God, you can be as happy as these people right here. Okay. Oh, wow. Holy shit. A new world that satisfies all. Now, this couple right here, they're getting frisky. I mean, you know why they're so happy? They got, look at that big sex barn they've got in the background. Breeding the coastal giants. It is pride after all. Okay, well that's that was something. I think we looked at a lot of shit. Wait, go to page 10 of the whole thing? Oh, or page 10 of this. Whoa! Wait, this is page 7. We're not even at page 10. We have an ally. We have a true ally in our fight against heteronormative norms. I mean, look. An end to crime and violence. An elimination of war. Look at our peace-loving king. Unironically, this fit kind of goes hard. Like, if you're going to do the tucked-in shirt, having the rolled-up cuffs and the shoes, like, tucked into your boots, like Link from The Legend of Zelda, these look like Link's pants that he kind of tucks into his shoes. I like it. Now, we haven't even gotten to 10. I thought we were in for Eve's magical fruit situation. Oh, hello. We have a very pretty lady plicking a fruit. Or picking. I couldn't decide between... No! No. I'm sorry. This is not appropriate for any audience. This is like in Pee-wee's Big Adventure when Large Marge, her big eyeballs pop out of her head. That's how scary this facial expression is. And she doesn't even look happy. What this looks like, it looks like the blonde was like, okay, yes, I know, I got to go, okay, I'm so glad that you're glad to see me, but, like, it seems like she's trying to get away from the situation. Also, she kind of looks like Laura Palmer. Wow, that was absolutely wild. That was absolutely nuts. Okay. New Zealand's fuzzy little fruit. That was not New Zealand. Damn it. Although, there's another cutie, courtesy of the New Zealand Kiwi Fruit Marketing Board. I like the little credits on these pictures. They're charming. They're very charming to me. Holy shit. Yes, you're totally right. You absolutely do. Well, that explains a lot about why I had a crush on Jean Smart growing up. Wow. So there's one black girl and she's like sad. Except for right here. What if my parent has disgraced us? That's such a confusing question. That is not a question young people ask. That's a question that a pretty specific set of circumstances has to happen before that specific phrase would pop into your head. Yeah. Jacob's dad used to be a respected Christian overseer in an African land. Oh boy, I wonder what sort of Christian overseer he was. Why didn't they say pastor or deacon or something? Well, it's because this is The Awake, and The Awake magazine is designed into tricking you into thinking that you're just reading a Christian-friendly lifestyle magazine, and so they don't want to give away the game that it's just Jehovah's Witnesses. They're just like, well, some Christian overseer, doesn't matter from what kind of religion. But they're talking, I'm sure, about what if my parents leave the organization. I keep on saying, like, all right, we're going to move on. And then, ooh, wait. This drawing is cool. So I kind of want to see it. Okay, so somebody was saying they wanted to write. Jenny was saying she wanted to write for the magazines. I wanted to do these little drawings because I liked little drawings in my sketchbook. You know, that's where I work best. It's a little comic book square. And so I always wanted to draw stuff like this. And I was very sad when they got rid of the Watching the World section in their little cartoons. This is also really weird. Oh, wow. A turning point for the UN. So Watching the World. And remember, you're not supposed to be like, oh, wow, this is just propaganda for Jehovah's Witnesses. You're supposed to just look at these headlines and be like, a turning point for the UN? But the reason why witnesses are doing this is because they believe that the United Nations is enveloped in Bible prophecy. Sexual assault blamed on comic books. Holy shit. And so this is a way of them not going so far out of their way to ban people from reading comic books, but they're going to say they're gonna like dog whistle or no, what would it like lead you down the path? Who do we got? We got Ron Pomo hanging out? Hell yeah. I understand Jakes wants us to be the horse. What? No. You're thinking of someone else with glasses and a beard. Okay, sorry. I got that file of that leaked cover to a magazine, so I'm downloading that right now in the background. Let's look at them trying to go all satanic panic on comic books. Police in Tokyo, Japan recently as of October 22nd, 1992. Police in Tokyo, Japan recently charged a 16-year-old high school student with 25 counts of sexual assault. The youth laid the blame on obscene comic books. What? In one incident, he allegedly got a sexually explicit comic book at a convenience store and then took a 10-year-old girl into a restroom and forced her to... Okay, so this has nothing to do with a comic book. Comic books don't make you do crimes. How have conservatives not like found a new thing? This actually is apropos to our discussion of like homoerotic art, of like that's just what they're doing now, is like they're putting a book in schools. They're making kids read a book that teaches them how to do oral sex. And it's like, what? They are? And it's like, well, it's in the library. It's like, it's an instruction manual. And it's like, well, actually, no. It's like a kind of indie comic that talks about it for like a second. It's like, okay, it's just the same shit. For some reason, even though it never fucking happens ever, we're sure this time it really is true that people's entertainment is turning them something. Move? What? Is this a video? What? This is just the song. This is just a song that released a few months ago. I think you sent me the wrong thing. Yeah, it was just that music video. Oh yeah, absolutely. They're coming down hard on video games. Do you want to know something crazy before we transition into our next segment? Transition, Pride Month. So this must have been in like the late 90s or something, but maybe not. No, okay, so it's still like N64 times, but, you know, hey, Super Nintendo is still around. this guy is giving this talk, fear-mongering about video games. Oh, you're saying it's edited. I see. Okay. The video game, like the thing that this guy is describing in his talk. So this is the Sunday sermon. This is the Monday sermon that we're hearing right now, so it's not similar at all. He starts talking about this horrible video game, and you think it's wholesome, but then when you die, the character is revealed to be a woman, and you see her in her underwear. And I was like, where? And I was like, is he talking about Super Metroid? And he was talking about Super Metroid. I just like, when you die in Super Metroid, it's just for a second, it shows like a pixelated thing. And actually, I'm sure I could just pull it up for 2 seconds. Super Metroid death animation. Actually, this is apropos for a couple reasons. Sure. We'll get the damage and everything. That, and it would have been as blurry as that's as blurry as it would have been in 1990. I don't know, 4. When did Super Metroid come out? I mean, I guess it kind of looks like she has underwear for a second. It's not exactly revealing a whole lot, is it? It just looks like a swimsuit. So that was the big scandal of the time, was Super Metroid. Okay, so the audio of the thing is okay, they're saying that the audio is completely changed. All right, this better not be a fake leak, because I'm going to pull it up. Sorry, my computer's like shaking. It's probably because my foot's jumping. All right, you're saying this is different. I guess, is this like an exclusive, or is this something that like Reddit discussed a year ago and I'm just not hearing about it? Also, why can't I hear anything? What? Oh, you fucking pranked me! God damn it. Alright. You got me. Yeah, not true. Hey! Thank you for joining us. Okay, everyone. Well, we're gonna do something. Although, your scary background music of this fake... I got fucking rickrolled. Damn it. So easy to trick. I was famously in a cult, so I'm a little gullible. All right, but legit, one thing I wanted to is read a little bit and not a cult. What do you say? Let's go for it. But I think, oh, I thought when you said in my Jezebel makeup look, I thought that Jezebel makeup was like an app or something. I don't know. Okay, interesting. Wait, in what sense did you tag me? In a post? Right? See, this is just not helping the stereotype, people. Alright, so I'm going to do something real quick. I have to take a quick bathroom break, and we're going to be back real shortly.
Have you ever been confronted by a bad report, a false report about Jehovah's people? Angry?
Okay. Okay. So that was Just my little bathroom break moment. How dare you say go poop to me? Just trying to get followers for themselves. Well, I mean, I hate to do this to you, but don't follow that guy. He tricks people with fake emails. Okay. I didn't actually pee. I went and took a hit for my bowl. All right. So this is I'm going to read the first little bit of Not a Cult. And I think I'm going to do that. First, I'm going to pull up the document. Yeah. Oh, good. The only two options are humongous and tiny. That'll be convenient. What's better, if I put the text on screen? I guess probably. All right. So, let's do this. First of all, if you're not aware of what Not a Cult is, it's a novel I'm writing. And I posted a fucking blurb. I should have probably planned this out better. I'll put a link to the pre-order page for it in the description. Somebody also pointed out in the comments recently that I need to add it to my channel bio. So tomorrow, later, whatever, I'll put a link to pre-order. You can tell I'm not the best salesman, but it's a horror novel, and the conceit is that it's an ex-Jehovah's Witness exorcism story. It is a religious horror novel, but instead of the Catholic Church, it's Jehovah's Witnesses. So it's a demon story, demonic possession, with a lot of the tropes of those horror stories, but with the aesthetics and the doctrine and history of Jehovah's Witnesses. And so that is the conceit of the book. The book follows a physically out, mentally in Jehovah's Witness who's been out of the organization for a long time, but her friend passes away in seemingly perhaps demonic circumstances. She, an old witness friend of hers, and she starts to be concerned that she or her daughter, sorry, I'm losing my voice, of course. She starts to worry that there's a demon in her house, that she might need to go back to the congregation. And meanwhile, a Bethelite from the branch is sent to investigate this increased demonic activity happening in this small rural congregation. People are dying and going missing. Terrible things are happening. So he's going out to investigate, and he starts to question his faith in Jehovah's Witnesses because nothing that he's seeing quite lines up with what it's supposed to. So the story is about those characters, but we start with a bit of a flashback. However, it is important. And let's see, what's the way to do this? Okay. We're just gonna do that. So, every chapter starts with a quote from a Watchtower publication. And so this is gonna do that. And let me know if the sound starts getting fucked up or whatever. I'll try and check in with chat every once in a little bit. Oh, yeah, I will. There will be an audio version for sure, and I'll record it and mix it and everything and make it sound good. Messy and unprepared is the vibe. Chatter who said that. All right. And yes, before you ask, this is a real quote from a real Watchtower publication. Not a cult. Chapter 1. It began... Oh, I'm going to start over. Holy shit. Can you tell I'm a little nervous?
Oh, hello, Peachy!
Oh my god, Peach is here. You can't tell. She's right outside the window because Christine is taking her for a walk. Looked over. Fucking dog is right there. Perfect mood for a scary story. Alright. It began with strange noises in a haunted house, and first answered a little girl who addressed the unseen author of the noises as Old Splithoof. Pastor Charles Taze Russell, What Say the Scriptures About Spiritualism, 1897. Allegheny, Pennsylvania, 1896. Of course, as soon as I'm doing this, it starts getting noisy. In 8 years, the devil would be bound in the abyss, and if Abram wasn't a good boy, he'd be chained up along with him. Good boys listened to their fathers, or so his father kept saying, and father said the pastor had the truth. Finally, Abram's father had said, after his first encounter with the movement, someone worked out all the math from God's word. The math pointed to the year 1914 as the end of the world, and since arithmetic happened to be Abram's worst subject, he took the pastor at his word. The pastor said the Bible said that Satan ruled the world, but God would kill the devil and all the bad men who worshipped him. Abram had never met a person who worshipped the devil, but his father said, because the pastor said the Bible said, that most folks worship the devil without even knowing it. Those who reject the true God and his warriors, proclaimed the pastor last Sunday, join Satan's army by default. Father had stories about the army from his days as a surgeon in the Union. Matter of fact, the pastor himself had lifted some of the father's more vivid explications of charred corpses on the battlefield, split open like a burnt-up brisket, and had begun incorporating them into his own descriptions of the coming Armageddon. Given his options, Abram much preferred being in a regiment armed with King James Bibles and leaflets. Sorry. Things are happening. Start that over. Given his options, Abram much preferred being in a regiment armed with King James Bibles and leaflets, and as heavy as father's preaching bag was, the old man assured him a rifle weighed more. So some days when Abram was stuck in class, waiting for the world to end, he would imagine the rapture coming that instant, and the cosmic spectacle of the schoolhouse's destruction. He imagined peering down from the clouds at his own hollow body lying peaceful in the rubble, while women screamed and men burned and horses ran wild through the streets. All the nasty children who made fun of Abram would die in that divinely cratered schoolhouse, looking up as they burned, skin boiling over, musculature melting. At a critical interval before returning to dust, before blacking out from choking on smoke, there would be a glorious moment of clarity. Every human on earth would realize Abram had been right all along. The Bible students had the truth after all, and the children would die knowing Abram had tried to save them. Which is why, in the meantime, he and his father went out knocking on doors. Sure, Abram would rather be at home with an adventure book on a Saturday evening, but Abram had two fathers always watching on in judgment and expectation. His fleshly father and his spiritual one. His fleshly father knocked on the door 4 times, landing the final like the exclamation the good news demanded. Tucked up under father's arm was his old black Bible, a misshapen and proudly weathered tome, its inside cover notated with verses father used frequently in the Lord's harvest. Okay. We all good. Sticking out like a weed from somewhere between 1st and 2nd James was an advertisement for some upcoming convention in Ohio where Pastor Russell would be speaking. Shifting his gaze to his father's long beard and wide-brimmed hat, Abram realized the old man looked like the spitting image of the pastor himself. Come to think of it, most of the men in the movement were dressing up like Pastor Russell. Without mandate, nearly all the grown men had adopted the pastor's dress and speech patterns, while the women followed the manner of the pastor's wife. Soon all the Bible students would look and sound the same. One voice, one body, one spirit, one flesh. For Abram, there was a comfort in knowing exactly the man he would grow up to be, or the boy he would go on to be for the next 8 years anyhow. 8 years to draw the righteous and humble into the legion of Christ's fellow workers. God was rather specific in the matter. 144,000 would be called to heaven. The Bible students had 8,000 members. Before the end could arrive, there was work to do. Father kept reminding Abram that although the year 1914 was set in stone, the precise day of wrath that could come any day, any hour in that year, like a thief in the night. Jehovah's a thief? Abram once asked his father. It is a metaphor, Father had said with annoyance, such as Christ's words in St. Matthew to be wise as serpents and cautious as doves. That's a simile, not a metaphor, Abram said, because he was the sort of boy who just couldn't help himself. And I thought Satan was the serpent. Father had beaten Abram after that, beat him with a belt on his bare behind, because he dared suggest Satan and God were both snakes. Abram hadn't bothered objecting that really the Bible had suggested it, which was why Abram had the question in the first place. Abram went to his mother when the pain in his rear end waned enough to talk, and she told him, "Little questions like that, Abram, are not important to the truth. What was important is the end is coming soon, and Abram had better be on the right side of the fence when it did." So today, like nearly every Bible student did nearly every Saturday around the United States and beyond, they knocked street by street, door by door. Father was at Abram's side, and Mom kept the house and was assigned to clean the meeting hall with the other sisters in the congregation. All in the movement had a role to play, functioning cogs in God's great machinery. "I don't think he's home," said Abram, filling the empty space. "Eyes straight ahead," said Father, "and stay smiling." Abram winced, swung the briefcase from one hangdog from one hangdog-tired arm to the other. Father's ministry bag might as well be packed with 3 cinder blocks, and the Lord's only blessing that day had been they'd handed out 2 other cinder blocks to a family down the street. In the bag sat 4 copies of the pastor's book, Millennial Dawn, 2 King James Bibles, 3 dozen issues of Zion's Watchtower, and a curated assortment of leaflets and brochures. This house, the last house, stood at the end of the block, and the setting sun fell behind a low brush of clouds. It was, Abram told himself, just another long day of spreading the good news. These days always ended gloomy and serene, thankful to God for the privilege of service, shame at the lack of results. But it did not feel like just another long day in the ministry. It felt like a bad day, or a bad day was brewing, lurking behind the corner, lurking behind the clouds with the sun, lurking perhaps just behind the door. Abram tugged his father's coat. "Dad, can we please?" "Twice," Father said. "We knocked twice." "I understand," said Abram, "but the man told us—" "I told you to shut up about that man." Father's eyes shined, like a dog's eyes when it snarls and instinct kicks in. It shut Abram up all right. Dread and shame and anger boiled in his chest. "Eyes straight ahead," Father repeated, "and stay smiling." So, Abram smiled, even though it was a fake smile, which felt like lying, which felt wrong, as he'd been countless times told that liars do not inherit God's kingdom. He forced his eyes on the dark wooden door of the haunted house. As he smiled and lied, his mind fixated on the cautions of the man who had stopped them at the porch steps, the man who'd just been passing by, who'd asked them if they were selling Bibles. "Not quite, sir," Father said. "Christ gave free, and so do we. Though my boy here will happily provide the good book for a price, we're certain you'd agree to be quite reasonable." The man didn't care what they were selling or giving out for free. He was worried about the house, or thought they ought to be worried anyhow. "That house," he had said, pointing to the one Abram and his father stood before now. "Nothing good comes from that house." "Well," Father reasoned, "all the more reason to bring something good into it." "Father," said Abram, "I can't carry this bag no more, and ain't nobody home." In an instant, Father clawed Abram's hair and yanked it, forcing his slack neck into a godlier posture, lowering his voice to a growl. He lectured the boy. "What if the end comes tomorrow, What then, Abram? What if there's a widowed mother in that house, laying her baby down to rest so she can come reach the door, yet on account of your impatience we depart before she can hear the message? When Christ comes with his heavenly army, that baby, that mother, this house, none will be concealed from Jehovah's wrath. That blood would be on your hands, boy. And thus, as your father, Abram felt his father's grip slacken. They both looked at the door, unsure if they had really heard the sound. But they had. It had come from the other side. As the final knock echoed, like an exclamation point, it struck Abram's ear as almost a clomping, like hooves of stampeding horses, echoing clatters contained in each thump. Confused, his head jerked to the brick road behind them. No mares or carriages were skipping along, no passers-by or policemen. Nobody. So what had made that sound? Father did not look afraid. He shook his head, frowning. "Some mocker," he said. "Someone who finds only humor in spiritual things, for they are beyond his understanding." Probably Father was correct. 2 weeks ago, Abram was pushed into the creek by the boys at school. They had called him Bible Boy and asked him if he'd get to be with a girl before he got raptured to heaven. There it was again, mimicking his father's earlier rapping. The old man adopted a stern look, leaned in, and with a slight tremble, knocked back. Slowly the door opened, with a grumbling whine, like a cornered cat. There a little girl stood blankly at the threshold, 6, Abram figured. She was short and round-faced like the schoolgirls a couple grades under him. Round was the only thing he could say about her face, for the more he tried to study it, the more his eyes blurred over. It's how Father said the world looked without his glasses, except it wasn't how the world looked to Abram, just her face. "Good evening, young lady." Sorry, I'm going to clear my throat and start again. "Good evening, young lady," said Father, tipping his hat. "That, I do believe, is the first time in my ministry I've heard a door knock back at me." He added a polite chuckle. The girl did not laugh. Abram couldn't tell if she smiled or not. She just stood there, swaying slightly like a weed in a breeze. "My name is Hinsey," Father said, trying another angle. "Hezekiah Hinsey. This here is my son, Abram. Might your father be home?" "He's always home," said the girl. More silence followed. Abram wondered what school the girl went to. He had rather unfortunately a penchant for happening upon kids from school when doing the Lord's work, and thus prayed fervently to avoid knocking on their doors. God never saw fit to answer these prayers, which the pastor had taught him meant it was not in harmony with God's divine plan of the ages. It was God's divine plan, evidently, for Abram to be bullied and beaten, and for certain young girls to be cursed with a blurry face. Or perhaps Abram's eyes were just developing some kind of inexplicable condition. Neither option was desirable. Abram was still young, would prefer to see so long as he was stuck in this fleshly vessel. "We come with urgent news for your parents," Father said. "It is rather important that we talk to them." "I know," said the girl. "We've been praying for someone like you to come along." Father looked down at Abram slyly, vindicated in having ignored the cautions of the man from the street. "Well, that's doubtless God's Holy Spirit in action," he said. "May we come in?" The blur faded for a too brief moment, like mist briefly parting, just enough for Abram to see clearly the unpleasant smile that crept in and took over the little girl's face. There was something unnatural about it, as if it was not her mind or muscles in control of her skin, but rather fishhooks tugging at the edge of her mouth. Through the smile, she said, "We was hoping you'd say that." Gesturing the two inside, she skipped into the darkness, beyond the threshold. No surprise, with Father's eagerness for the work of the Lord, that the man did not hesitate. He stepped right on in. Abram lingered for a moment longer, looking back at the street. If anything happened, not a soul was around to hear Abram scream. But then, right then, when the fear set in, Abram felt God's Spirit granting him courage, or something like it. Abram felt his insides embrace the fear with a zealous excitement, enticed by the demonic chill the girl had given him. If the devil is real, thought Abram, so is God. And if God is real, then we're here for a reason. And now I know God is real, for his Spirit is upon me. And, worst case scenario, Abram figured, he and his father would die. The Spirit made this a warm and fuzzy feeling. Would that be so bad? A shortcut to heaven? He felt that he finally understood so many stories in the Bible, so many men who stood up for Jehovah or his son. Zeal felt different than Abram had imagined. It was a dark and serene confidence in the spirit world. The good spirits and the bad were real, could be prayed to, summoned, surrendered to. Yes, Abram would go on to think a lot of things like that before he died, even if he knew by that point that most of the thoughts screaming in his skull were not strictly speaking his. He didn't know it when he followed his father into that house, that it would end up being the last house he'd ever called upon to preach the good news of God, the God who abandoned him, the God who would go on to let his father drown him in the tub the very next evening. When the water filled his lungs, when his father's rotting and bloody hands were squeezed tightly around his airway, hordes of thoughts scraped and slithered their way into Abram's head, thoughts that became voices, voices that became screams and chants and incantations, all telling Abram that drowning for Satan's divine purpose would be the only great thing he'd ever really do. Abram didn't know, when he walked into that haunted house, that he would love those screams, and that he would, as he died, believe them with more religious fervor than he'd ever believed any scripture or sermon. In the Hinsey house bathtub, his light dissipated, and his father's muffled cries slipped into silence. Abram would feel he finally learned the truth, after all. Boom! That's the first chapter. And I promise it's not as serious as all that. Jump into some more the plot and the normal stuff after this. So that's not... sorry that I mispronounced stuff. I was getting a little nervous. And then Peach just dragged me outside. It was hilarious. She jumped up and surprised me. And then, of course, Bo, because he can't be normal, was jumping around. So it's not necessarily final wording. So the final version may differ from that. Maybe a lot, maybe a little. But yeah, it starts in the Bible student movement for a reason. We cut to what's the present of the book. It takes place in 2016 for a reason, plot-related reasons, and but also just for convenience reasons, because I wanted to set it in a time when, before these recent disfellowshipping changes happened, and most notably in the transition from from Brooklyn to Warwick. So the Bethelite character is one of the last remaining characters there at the Brooklyn Bethel, and this big shift is happening, and that's where we pick up the story, and the rest of the story happens in 2016. So hopefully you liked it. The Bible student stuff definitely plays into it, but I would say that it is also fairly on brand in terms of, if you like my goofiness and stuff, I promise there's like romance and jokes and explosion. Well, maybe not explosions, but gross body horror and scary things. But it's a slow burn. It builds to something pretty fucking insane. I'm happy to say. Thank you, though. Thanks, Dave K. So amazingly accurate to the experience of my childhood. Every detail, even switching hands with the briefcase. That's very, that's very kind. Yeah, that, I don't think it's necessarily 100% historically accurate that like every Bible student was going door to door that early in the movement. I don't know that specifically, but I think it gets it's really accurate in other stuff timeline wise, and I needed the image of like a father and son. So no, this is I might call it a prologue, but I've heard that people skip prologues, and I don't necessarily want them to skip it because it is like important. It sets up a lot of stuff. That creepy, ominous quote about old split hoof, that's a thing. But no, these characters, I guess I won't say whether or not they're important to the plot specifically, but yeah, this is like a flashback kind of cold open, and then we cut to modern times with their characters. So those characters pretty much disappear for the narrative. And I definitely remember having that question as like when I first started reading fantasy books and they would have more prologues and be like, wait a minute, does that mean it's optional? And then I would always get confused and be like, wait, I think I'm supposed to read that. So I just worry that if I call it a prologue, people won't read it. But then I do also worry that if I just call it chapter 1, people will be like, oh, what? It takes place in the 1800s? I don't want to read that. So I don't know. It's 6 in one, half dozen in the other kind of bullshit. Oh, where did the name Hinsey come from? That is my IB world history teacher in high school. Yeah. Mr. Hinsey. He was my world history teacher. Loved him. And he was, I think he was from Pennsylvania. And I think he had like a Pennsylvania Dutch back. I might be making that up. So, Mr. Hinsey, if you for some reason ever see this and I'm wrong, I'm conflating you with two different, with my other history teacher from a different year. But I think he has Pennsylvania background. And so that opening taking place in Allegheny, Pennsylvania, made me think of my history teacher, unless it's wrong. But chapter 0, it's kind of not a bad idea. What I was thinking is doing the old, sometimes you'll see chapter 1, and then it's like part 1, the blah, 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 and then chapter 2. Like, they're like, so that was a prologue, but you were still supposed to read it because, look, part 1 starts after chapter 1. People, I just want people to read it, okay? I just, like, get to know the characters. They're good. If you didn't like random 1800s kid, I don't know if you picked up on this, but he fucking dies a horrible death. That makes me very happy that it was snuggly bowl of soup. Yeah, I could keep going, but I think that feels like that went for like 15 or 20 minutes, which is probably enough for a reading. But yeah, I might end up pushing back the release date from October, but I want it to come out this year. Ooh, well, maybe he's from Ohio, and I just am being totally wrong about that. I went back and forth about setting the opening in Ohio because the correlation between the two is important, but VIP, very important prologue. Yeah. I talked a few weeks ago about having trouble with the ending, and I figured it out, but it put me behind. Like, I essentially worked out this whole third act, and I really hated it. I ended up really not liking it, and it felt like it was not what I wanted the book to be, which I love Midsummer, or Midsommar, but I kind of wanted this to aesthetically be the opposite of that. You know, Midsommar is like classic cult flowing white robes out in a field and crazy sacrifices. And what's interesting to me about Witnesses and Mormons and Scientology is the corporate, like American corporate nature of it, with like suits and ties. So I wanted it to have like the slow burn of something like, you know, like a modern A24 horror movie, or in terms of more recent books that I like Baby Teeth, versus, you know, something like that. But I had to step back and rework the ending. But I think it's really cool and really fucked up and not too depressing. It's not too depressing. I think it's relatively happy, all things considered, but we'll see. I might have a weak heart at the end of it. Okay, well, thanks for listening. We had like 90 people just sit and listen to me read that chapter. So thanks so much. I mean, if you have thoughts about it, feel free to sound off in the comments. I'm going to, you know, it's not finalized or anything, but that's a pretty close version of what you're going to get. Imagine that as the storyboard, you know. I've wondered about doing stuff like that for reasons I can't divulge. I also, even though this is like self-published and not that many people are going to read it, I do want to be careful about like spoilers and stuff. Like, I feel like the stuff that I'm spoiling it probably seems obvious from the trailers, the little cut together mood trailers I've made. So if I've talked about it, you can probably predict it. But what stuff that you should know is like, the book's a lot funnier than I thought it would be. Like, there's more, like, there's a character I think is routinely pretty funny. There's no like jokey, quippy comedic sidekicks, but I don't know. I think I found a better balance between my sarcasm and earnestness. So it's funnier than I thought it would be. The gory stuff is really fucking gory, but there's also a like there's an honest to god like love story, and it's pretty gay. Like, it's a pretty gay story. I think all the characters are gay, or the main characters anyway. So that's kind of cool. But it's also like, yeah, exactly. Like, if you could get the Lighthouse energy towards Jehovah's Witnesses and like the Adventist movement, you know, in subsequent drafts, it's kind of moved away from that. I think the Lovecraftian elements were the stuff that really wasn't working about my earlier version of it. I'm sure I'll talk about it after it's out, the bad version that I spared you, but it was quite detailed, and I thought it was very clever. But I think I was able to retain the good, clever parts of it into the much better ending. It's quite gay. The chapter that's on Patreon right now is our introduction to the female lead, Cora, who is bisexual, and it's a flashback to her judicial committee, her being interrogated by the elders, and it's a pretty creepy scene. It's her character introduction. But yes, her like repressed sexuality is a big part of the book, as is our Bethelite character. But if I may pat myself on the back, I kind of like, I think that it's not the most interesting thing about the book. Like, I think I didn't want it to feel too much like, I don't know, I wanted the story to be good. Like, I wanted it to be a real page turner. Like, you're not sure what's going to happen next. So I didn't want the romance to be like the most important thing. But I'm really happy that I wrote something with people kissing in it, because I was nervous. So maybe it's really bad, but it'll be earnest. You'll see. By female leads. I'm telling you. Write the change you want to see in the world. All right. I'm going to close out with this trailer because I think it's cool. And maybe you haven't seen it. So, shit. Unless... Oh, yeah. Here it is. Thank you for hanging out. We had such a fun time. Yes. Exactly. Like, it's not... Like, I wouldn't market it as, like, a queer horror book, because to me it's like, no, this is a religious horror book. The gay element is like, but it's not incidental in the sense that like sexual repression and internalized homophobia is obviously incredibly like it's important, but yes, exactly, just an LGBTQ book. I want you to read it like you would in a book where you're like, ooh, did that person's head get chopped off? No, that's not a spoiler. Maybe.
Do you enjoy a good story? If so, you're in for a special treat.
For more than 100 years, Jehovah's Witnesses have proclaimed the Bible's message that God's kingdom will rid the world of wickedness.
Undoubtedly, before the end, Satan's efforts to promote wickedness will intensify.
And of course, Satan is a god of intimidation.
That the reign of sin and death will soon be overthrown by Messiah's kingdom.
If a man's offering is a lamb, it shall be a female without blemish. He shall lay his hand upon its head, slaughter it, empty its blood on the base of the altar, and he shall be forgiven.
Are you ready? Are you ready to be glad over her destruction?
I mean, how sad it would be if we shaped and imitated ourselves after the world, and when Satan picked us up, we fit right in with his machine and organization.
This is the price of our rage.
Who do you think are Satan's primary targets? We are.